talking about the challenges that military families face during deployment and separation. Now, imagine that you're a brand new spouse with no concept of what a military spouse really does. Because you're married, you're in your honeymoon period, and all of a sudden your husband or your wife is calling and says, guess what? I'm leaving. I'm going to Iraq or Afghanistan for the next undetermined amount of time. The immense shock that places on families is incalculable in many, many ways. But there are ways we can overcome this. There are ways that we can combat these issues, as deployments and separations are a standard. It is something that will happen within every military relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship. We are all spouses. We all work for Department of Defense. We all understand that separations and the hardships that that brings, it's part of the job. Unfortunately, there's not much that we can do about our military members being deployed. It's what they signed up for. We go through what's called the deployment cycle. This is a cycle that has been categorized by many social media sites as a mourning cycle, because some of the concepts of deployment affect us emotionally the same as a loss or a death could in many situations. The grief, the stress, everything is very similar in many cases to the death of a loved one. It is not the same by any means. However, it can be characterized as similar. Some of the emotional experiences that we'll have to go through during that separation, per the Department of Military Affairs, was concern, worry, panic, loneliness, feeling overwhelmed, concern over your loved ones, of course, added family duties and responsibilities, going from a one-parent household to a two-parent household, and fear, financial difficulties, and dealing with problems completely on your own. Per the National Center of Biotechnology Information, as of right now, over 2 million children annually are affected by military deployments throughout the different branches of the DoD. Now, children, unfortunately, deal with things much differently than parents and spouses and friends will. So, with that, nearly 20% of families noted family strain or problems with children of deployed individuals. 33% of those problems were noted as being purely psychological. So it's not something that you can see, it's something that is felt. And this is from the Population Reference Bureau that did these statistics with Dr. Plum. We see the family goes through many stages during a deployment. You have the initial shock, you have the restructuring of your family unit, and you have the difficulties that that brings. However, we all know that we look forward to the homecoming. It is it's an extremely joyous event, but it's also extremely stressful. Per the Department of Military Affairs, there's usually a honeymoon period after any deployment because you're so happy that that person is home. But that person is different, and you're different, and readjustment has to happen. During that time, you face new situations in the service member's absence, and anger and resentment and stress are normal because you've had to deal with things as well as them. Even if what we deal with at home is not a combat situation, you went from, in a matter of moments, from being a single parent to a double parent again. It's a lot of stress to place on any relationship. Some of the common stress reactions, fear, anger, all of that are completely normal during these periods as they readjust back into society. And it's part of our transition. We transition out, we transition back. It's easy for parents and others who've cared for the service members to fall back into old patterns. So as family members, it's sometimes important to stress that this is the same person. However, They're going to view the world differently after a deployment or after a major separation. We tend to focus on the homecoming, but what happens when our service member comes home wounded? What happens if that wound is not physical, if it's psychological? Unfortunately, this happens a lot through PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Many military members have to endure this. Per the VA, some of the symptoms include anger, insomnia, anxiety, pain, nightmares, and interpersonal difficulties. However, while most veterans exhibit these signs, the VA estimates that only about 10 to 20% of U.S., Iraq, and Afghan veterans develop PTSD that does not diminish over time. So most of these symptoms will go away with time as they learn to readjust back into the civilian society. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. With the physical wounds, you can see the damage that was done. But with psychological issues, it's harder to identify and it's harder to see the damage that was done to the service member until it's too late. We can stand this test of time. It just takes time. Time to readjust, time to make changes to your relationship, to your family units. All of this just takes time. We can stand this test of time. We love our military members, we support them, and we have a very close community to support them through all these changes. There is hope for the future. The VA has changed how they started looking at PTSD, how the treatment is, and even the treatment options available to service members and their families affected by these situations. We can deal with these trials because as a military member, trials are what you signed up for. You signed up to do the hard job, and your family signed up to support you in doing the hard job. To quote Helen Keller, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved.